Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon. I used to be Brandon Wound Pickups.
All right. Hey, everybody. It's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death
I'm
that
so
you
thrilled.
are listening to our show.
Yes.
I've got a good news for you. It's going to be a great one.
What's that?
Well, the show.
This one?
This one, indeed.
Excellent.
We have a very special guest on tonight, and I even made it a surprise to Tony and Jared.
I almost boycotted
And they
the show.
both had the same exact response because this person... Who are you on the show?
This is Michio Murakishi.
Hey, Michio.
We've said his name for an awful long time. He's a great friend and supporter of our show.
Yes, he is.
And aside from just that, lots of back and forth through social and anyways, it's been great to, virtually get to know him over the years, and we're really thrilled to have him on the show tonight. So there you go. As I speak to you third person.
I'm happy to be here. I just want to express my gratitude to you guys for having me because, there's nothing I love more than talking gear.
Excellent.
All right.
You're in the same club.
Yes.
Where you belong.
Yes, except a lukewarm gravy boat.
Yeah.
When the skin forms on the top.
Oh, that's gross.
Anyways.
On this week's Gravy podcast.
Hey, so
The film.
So, Michio, you have been a supporter of our show since June 23rd, 2021.
It's a long time.
You actually remembered that date?
I did.
Wow.
Because of my Wonderhead Super Brain.
Super brain.
And my notes.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah, nicely done.
And he is a Grand Poohbah.
Yes.
And reaps
right.
all the benefits of the Grand Poohbah. Actually, you just won that pedal.
Does
That's right.
Michio, are you wearing your fez?
Well,
Just say yes.
It's in the moving box. I know
It's in the
that.
moving boxes, yeah.
Yeah, he is.
All
moving.
right, I will give you a pass this one time.
We've got a few things to get off our chest here.
Yes.
From as far as announcements and stuff. So our recent episode with Henry Cash yielded great results, and we got great feedback. And Henry is just a super, super duper good dude out there in the guitar world.
Yes.
Following that, and he's arguably not most well known, but very well known for his specific guitars. Not only being 3 strings, but being the Parsons builds.
Oh, I love those guitars. That's the bat, right?
That's the bat, and they're all handmade and all that business. And so I reached out to Parsons Guitars, and Parsons Guitars is going to be on the show.
Nice.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's outstanding. Well done, Todd.
Thanks. I appreciate it. We do have a really great lineup moving forward over the next 6 episodes that I have got lined up, which I'm very happy about. So, and on that note, we don't know all the builders out there. There's still loads of builders that I run across. I'm like, wait, who's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? Like Lantern manufacturing.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's coming up soon,
Yes,
right?
that's absolutely right. Ran into that a couple weeks ago. I was like, never seen this. Don't know it. So if you are out there going, why haven't you had this person on the show? Or I love this brand or whatever, or this particular mover and shaker, please let us know. And I will reach out to the people. I always reach out to them. Not everybody wants to do this thing that we do.
I will be on the Lantern show.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
That's good to know, Jared. All right. So anyways, let's get moving on, especially since people are still recovering from the Marathon Marshall episode.
I'm still recovering from the Marathon Marshall.
Yeah. And
I've
got
hopefully
my
you forgive
notes
us for
right
the
here.
slip that I fixed in that first episode.
Oh, I didn't hear a
Jared's
thing.
here, surprisingly. Let's make this a
Didn't hear
really
a thing.
long one.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, let's get on what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to start out with the svelte-looking
Svelte.
Yes.
Must be my
Your electric
Champion
nonsense
Lecky.
Champion Lecky shirt.
shirt that I'm wearing.
Yes. The svelte and besmirched Tanya Bolonsky.
I don't know if I like the besmirched.
Yeah, it's all right. Go with it.
I'll take the svelte.
Make something out of it.
I'll take the svelte.
I just learned to
Start
accept
talking,
everything
Tanya.
else.
Well, Todd, this week, I love surprises when they come in the mail. Don't you?
I do. I
mean,
got one today, too.
I got one today, too.
Yeah.
Or was that yes? No, that was yesterday that I did.
Okay.
So, a while back we had Acorn amplifiers on.
Yes, they're coming back on the show.
Oh.
He's doing so much stuff. And I was like, man, come back on the show. Let's talk about the new stuff.
Well, that's it. This is even more timely now.
Mm-hmm.
So, so Tyler at Acorn, I get a message on Instagram. It says, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I just found this package that I was supposed to send to you about a year ago." And I'm thinking he's going to maybe send a T-shirt or something like that. And then I forgot that we
He
had
did. He sent a whole box of
I
them,
know.
actually. We gave
Yeah.
away several.
I have one.
Yes.
But, a year goes by and, the brain fades.
Yes.
And I forgot that we had talked about these circuit board pick guards that he put together for Tellys and Strats and SGs. Mm-hmm. And I went to the post office like I usually do, and I fill this heavy package from Acorn Amps, and I said, "Oh, that's no T-shirt." Well, Tyler was kind enough to send these very, very cool Telecaster. I think there's a Strat and a couple of SG guards.
This actually looks like a real circuit.
I think it is a real circuit. I think if you populated this, you
my
would have
gosh.
something.
A huge pedal.
I don't know. It's got some diodes in it and different. I'm going to have to get in touch with Tyler. Maybe when he's on the show, we can talk about that.
There's like 100 resistors in this thing.
Yeah.
It's like all resistors.
No, there's
Almost.
diodes. Diodes up on the top.
Diodes, cathodes, electrodes, nomodes, generators, oscillators. Make a circuit with me.
And a partridge in a pear tree. So I got in touch with my buddy Pat up at Coop Guitars. I said, "Hey, Pat, you got any telly bodies that you're not doing anything with?" So I'm going up there to visit him this week, and I'm going to make a Telecaster out of at least one of these.
Nice.
So one caveat, and Tyler said this too.
Caveat. What are you, Canadian?
Caveat. Eh?
It's caveat.
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 He said that, the file that he used to cut these weren't exactly 100% right. And I think the screw hole pattern's off a little bit, but I compared these, the Telecasters at least, to what I call my standard template. And it's pretty darn close. So I think if you're building from an unscathed body, this will work just fine. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put at least one together.
Fun.
Fun.
I have an idea.
You always have an idea.
I know, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
So that's yeah. Like I said, I love getting surprises like that in the mail. Good surprises, and I can't wait to monkey around. But yeah, I do. I'm kind of curious to see what that circuit is.
Are you gonna put it together? Are you gonna populate it? That's what they say on the street.
I'm not the one that's going on a guitar, but
Well,
I
no.
might if it's a real
That
circuit.
would beat the crap out of your hands.
Yeah, having yeah, you wouldn't.
It's okay. I'm gonna put it backwards, so I'm not.
I'll populate the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's my music world this week.
All right, Michio, how about you?
Well, in my music world, it's mainly been about my new guitar. So everybody knows how that's kind of like a special thing when you get a new guitar.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And so I've been getting to know this guy. It is a Gibson SG.
Oh, it's a
standard,
gentleman, not a lady.
61. I'm back in the loving arms of Gibson. Basically, I had a little. I strayed a little, man, and I got a Strat. And that was just a weird kind of experience. But like, if that's what you're into, I guess it's cool. But
Todd's
no,
really
I
into
just-
Strats.
We need something to put your dirty clothes on.
it's you know what it is. I mean, it's the build, the craftsmanship, kind of like the, in the humbuckers, And also, I like those slim taper necks. Like,
Oh.
I
yeah.
really like those. Like, I sort of came up, I think not unlike a lot of people, on, like Epiphones.
Yeah.
And I feel like almost all Epiphones have that kind of real slim neck profile. So I feel right at home with this SG. So
You know what I had, and this is when I realized I really am not as much of a fan of them. I bought this when they did a really short run of silver SGs, and on Epiphone ones, and I got one because I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. And it had, I mean, that thing literally was the fat end of a baseball bat. I could not
Really?
believe how thick
Really?
that neck was, and I hated it. And,
Yeah.
and it just dropped to the floor every time, and I'm like, I hate this guitar. So then I sold it.
Yeah, that's why I had to get rid of my. I sold my 335, which actually has a custom Pick
Excuse
Guardian
me?
pick guard on it.
Nice.
And I sold that because that neck is just like a baseball bat. And as
Yeah.
much as I love the tone I could get out of the thing, I couldn't play it as fluidly. I felt like.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I like a pretty beefy neck, but I can see where, I mean, it tires
Well,
out
mission
your hand.
accomplished. It even has a hole in it that you can put food in.
Womp womp. Feed me. I'm hungry. No, but that's, and it is funny because there are some people that you wouldn't expect with like a beefy neck like that. But they're, and they're going up and down the thing.
Well, Stevie Ray Vaughan, he had he had like a super thick neck and like really heavy strings.
12s or 14s or something goofy like that.
Now, if you're SRV loyalist, please don't. You just put down your rocks. Okay?
Rocksfortodd.com.
Yeah, but as I recall, my super brain wonderhead recalls that.
But then you take a guy like Billy Gibbons who plays like 8.5s.
Right.
I mean, and he said that he got his, he used to play heavier strings, and then B.B. King or I think it was B.B. King.
Well, he only plays one string, so
Yeah, he said, I don't know why you're working so hard, so hard playing.
Yeah.
Put
Just
some
go
light
like
strings
this.
on there.
Feels gone. I mean, I'll tell you one thing with the SG. I've been playing a lot of Wolf Mother lately. I don't know if
that's good stuff.
Coincidence or not, but it probably is.
Yeah. Now, are you slinging it up high or down low?
Well, so the one thing about the SG because I never had an SG before, and the one kind of knock on it, if there was a knock that I would hear, on the street, was like it hangs funny.
Yeah.
Because
it'll flip over.
Like the strap, but it doesn't have. I guess they were original. Maybe this is true. They originally had that big vibrato kind of thing on it, which kind of balanced it out. But without that counterbalance, I have I use strap locks, and I have a kind of sturdy leather strap that I always use, and everything's working great.
Yeah. Now Jared is a bit of an aficionado on the SG.
Yeah, I know a lot about those.
Oh man.
But Jared, can you verify that? Were they originally did they originally come with a vibrato?
Yes, the very first came with the vibrato, and they used the vibrato until I would say the mid 70s.
And that was a sideways
vibrato. Standard. So it started out okay. Well, let's get specific then. It started out with a sideways vibrato. It was very mechanical, very large, and it did not stay in tune very well. They even had their ABR1 bridges machined underneath to be able to rock along with the strings when you use a vibrato. So the strings would stay in the same place on the actual saddles. And they stopped doing that because, I mean, it was just nothing really worked. Then they went to the Vibrola, and they they did the ebony block
And
after
the Vibrola is the folding one, right?
the Vibrola Maestro Vibrola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
So
like
they
the-
started
the
out
big
with
spring.
just the spring. We all know the Maestro Vibrola with that long metal tailpiece that has like
Yeah.
the
But I'm saying, is that
thing
the
on
one that had the hinge where it folded back, the actual arm of it?
No, the one with the hingy one is a Bigsby, and they actually used Bigsby's on some early '60s, all the way up till Gibson had a copy of a Bigsby name. I don't know who he had make those. I don't know if they were Bigsby copies or if they were actual Bigsby's that Gibson, because Gibson had Gibson named Bigsby type Vibrolas in the early '70s. And that's when you found them. So they went from and I can go as deep as you want, but just in the spirit of moving on, went from really giant, clunky, early sideways vibrato, then went to Maestro Vibrola with the ebony block. And then the ebony block was too expensive to keep making. So they used a metal piece that went all the way down to the bottom of the guitar, and it looks cool. And they used that up until early '70s, and then they switched over to basically the Bigsby looking vibratos until and you see them used all throughout Gibson history, those type of Bigsby's, but those are the best ones. And then they reissued them like '99, I think, or maybe a little later than that. And the old metal, like that they used in the '60s, those springs are better than the new. The new, and I'm talking about the Maestro Vibrato. The Maestros with the one giant spring, it acts as a spring. It's just a big folded piece of metal.
Spring metal.
Spring metal. The original old stuff from the '60s seems to work better than the new kind of metal.
Yeah, Todd, I think
really get down into the weeds,
Right.
Todd, so I think when you're talking about the folded one, I think that's the sideways one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Although the on the Maestro, the arm does kind of swing out of the way too, kind of like you would have on a Bigsby.
I do like the trapeze cover on the sideways
It's
Vibrola
cool.
way more.
Oh, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Super
It's
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting stuff, gentlemen's. How
about Jared?
Did you name the guitar yet? Are you a guitar namer?
I am a guitar namer. This one does not have a name yet, so it'll come to me.
Just go to the gift store and get the little tiny license plate that says Steve.
SG.
Name it Cherry.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. What color is it, Jerry?
It's cherry, yeah.
No. All right. Cool. Perfect.
Can I do my thing?
No.
Please.
Jared, what's going on in your world this week?
Still working at Gibson. Love it there.
Was there ever any doubt?
Is that an update?
I'm just saying. Well, I'm just easing into my little announcement.
Okay. All right.
A few weeks ago, some new pickups came out of Gibson. We launched some new pickups, and a few of them are our designs that I worked on, which would be the Dirty Finger SM and the Underwounds.
What does the SM stand for?
That is single magnet.
Okay.
So a Dirty Fingers traditionally have 3 magnets, and I took out the 2 side magnets to give it more of a mid-punch growl.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Is this an original design, Jared?
Yes.
Do you have the
Wow.
patent?
That's exciting.
It's a patent.
Yes.
We're Gibson. We do whatever we want. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm sure all of our legal stuff is
So
on
in
point, yes.
in 50 years, there's going to be a podcast that's going to be arguing who came up with the Dirty Fingers
Finger
SM.
Yeah. Well,
That
I
one
mean,
surprised me.
me and the team, and it was approved, and
Nice.
so I worked on it. So
Right.
yes, I'm not going to say it was just Jared's design. The team did it. So
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
So the Underwound
The team did. it.
Underwound series, the Custom Bucker 57 and the P90 Underwound dog ear and soap bar available. Just less windings, less output, with the same amount of magnetic power, gives you more, clarity, more highs. So if, and I recommend those in the rhythm position. So it doesn't sound
as muddy.
Too muddy. If
I
you
like that.
think it sounds muddy, yeah. So some guitars sound different than others. We all know the guitar weight's different and all that kind of thing. So you have different, let's say, personalities to with different guitars, even if they're the same model. So maybe some guitars it might be dark, naturally dark.
Yep.
Get some underwounds for that rhythm position.
Yep.
And brighten that thing up. So that was my whole idea towards that.
Nice.
Let's just for people who may not understand what that terminology means, that phraseology. You mind your phraseology? Dark. Let's talk about that real quick for those that might not understand that.
So there's bright and dark sounding. Bright is with lots of treble. Dark is more bassy.
Okay.
And you may not get a nice clear, as a clear tone as you want in that rhythm position.
Mm-hmm.
It may sound really, really mid-strong like the Dirty Finger SM. So it's supposed to, but the guitar naturally may sound a little different than, a few other guitars that have the normal pickups with the normal windings that do sound good.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I mean, sometimes the wood that's used, and typically, like, let's just say an SG, mahogany tends to be a darker sounding wood, naturally acoustically, than like maple or alder or ash that you would find on Fenders.
Is that because it holds the resonation a little bit more?
I think it has a lot to do with the cell structure and it's just a darker wood.
Okay, all right.
What about the grain? I've always wondered about that because you hear people say like that's old growth right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we could really dive into this, and I mean, basically, like the old '60s bodies were mostly one-piece bodies, and that's always going to sound. I think,
old trees, like actual old trees.
Well, yeah, they were able to actually bring in logs that they could saw a full body with.
Hundreds of years old and stuff.
Yeah. Well, maybe thousands maybe. But yeah, I think, and some people will tell you the tighter the grain, the brighter the sound. I mean, sometimes the broader grain, that you see on a lot of the old growth mahogany, that it has a little more darker tone. Mm. But it's
interesting.
Yeah, I think in general, and that's one of the reasons that on Les Pauls, Gibson capped the mahogany bodies with maple, is to help brighten the sound of the guitar up a little bit.
How about that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
So we have a few things out that maybe some people would like to try. And your old buddy Jared had his hand into it. So
now, can people just order those through Gibson or through Gibson dealers, or how does that work?
They can order those through their favorite dealer. That is a Gibson dealer like Sweetwater or Guitar Center, or maybe Sweetwater's a better way to go on that. Or you can go to Gibson.com.
Cool.
They're
going to have them at the Gibson Garage.
No, we don't have pickups in the Gibson garage.
Do it.
I know.
Start stomping your feet, Jared. Tell them you want pickups in there.
Well, actually, it's got to be everybody else to go in there and tell them that. So I ordered.
Wait, save this for the next one. That was a really long one already.
No, just real quick.
No, save it because you need it because it'll be perfect. It'll be perfect for the next one because he's coming on.
Not that one. Different pedal. Are you having electro harmonics on?
No, but you want to save that one for later because don't.
Yeah. All right.
Don't play your whole hand right now. Hey, let me.
I've got a lot of stuff to talk.
That's good. You should come on and talk about it more.
Kind of long-winded.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Well, you. Yeah. I found this interesting post from a person that I actually follow. He's now kind of like coupled with this other guy. So I've mentioned this before, Scott's Bass Lessons. I'm sure many of you have seen him. And he has his sort of like counterpart who is oddly like him. They're doing a lot of work together.
Is his name Scott too?
His name is Martin Allison. They're both bass players. They're both phenomenal. They both have fantastic content. They're really, really good at what they do. And it doesn't matter if you're like really experienced or a beginner, somehow they manage to talk about bass and bass playing from an angle that allows anybody to access it. They're very, very good at what they do. Anyways, this one happened to be, he was talking about creating a swell effect, or no, what he said, what it called, a platform. I think it was a platform, creating a platform during a song. And I was like, what's a platform? I think that's the word he said. And it's basically, it's creating an effect that gets you into like another stage of the song. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Not just an effect for like, wow sake, but an actual like one that makes sense and is really effective. And I thought that's very interesting. Let me find out more. And he happened to be talking about creating a swell in an effect. In this case, it was a delay on a bass, and it's swelled up and then cut off and brought you back into the next part of the song, which basically elevated the whole song. And I was like, I want to learn more. And then that was the main thing. And then I realized he was doing it on an HX stump, and I was like, well, now I got to contact him about a stumper. So yeah, I'm trying to get one out his way. So
that'd be really cool.
Yeah. But anyways, if that sounds interesting to you, you can go to I am Martin Allison, all one word, on Instagram. And I promise you will probably learn something. I'm not a bass player, but when I do pick up bass, a lot of times before I even start playing, I will go and just listen to either him or Scott, any of their recent content. And it usually gives me a little something to do with it anyways. Really great stuff. I appreciate that those guys are out there making such great stuff.
Cool.
So that was me. Yeah. But I big pop bow. So I might actually employ that into my current set. We've got 3 shows coming up to round out the year. And
you're going to play bass now?
No. But
bass and guitar.
Yeah.
One in each hand.
Time, yes.
Michelangelo Battelle.
Yeah. Let's see him do that. Anyways, so what's interesting is when you're playing bass and the guitar at the same time, you know what you really need?
If I had to guess off the top of my head, Tour Gear Design patch cables.
It's like you read my mind. It is amazing. Yes, Tour Gear Design patch cables won't actually help you play guitar and bass at the same time, but they will connect your pedals in the most delightful way. And very, very easy on your wallet and extremely reliable, as well as, and I can't stress this enough, the range of lengths and configurations are so incredibly helpful to building the board that you want. You don't have to build your board arrangement around the standard patch cables that you use. You can customize it to no end, from 3-inch to like I believe 24-inch. So,
as Dick Van Dyke would say,
yes,
it's a jolly holiday with Tour Gear Design cables.
It is, and that's the second Mary Poppins reference in one little shtick, which my daughter was watching, and I was a bit upset this morning. It's when I got back from work, actually, not this morning, but this afternoon, because that's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah,
and
really?
And she's like, "Well, I wanted to watch it. I'm sorry." I'm like, "It's okay." Anyways. This has nothing to do with Tour Gear Design's patch cables, but you know what does?
What?
You can go and enter your coupon code, put in theguitarknobs.com. No, just the guitar knobs.
All lowercase, all one
lowercase.
word, and you're going to save an extra 10%.
That is correct. So thank you so much to Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Jared? Did you forget already?
No, you're making me. I'm starting to smile and laugh. I can't do it. I have to be okay. All right. Let me get a little bit of this.
No, you can do better.
No, that one's good.
No, better.
One, two, three. Four on the floor.
All right, Michio Murakishi, give us your 4 on the floor.
Well, I'm going to have to start off with kind of a strange one, I think, but it's the MXR micro amp.
Oh,
No, that's a good one. That's an old
it's
standby.
And what I like about it is you can kind of use it however you want, really. And the way I use it is basically if I'm really liking a sound, I will just put that pedal behind it and just juice it up a little, make it a little even more of what it is. So that's what I use it for. But I know other people, people use it at the end, people use it at the beginning, people use it for all kinds of things. So that's my first one.
now that is technically, it's kind of hard to describe exactly what this is. Is it a boost? Is it a preamp? And because they market it as an amp, I think a lot of times it gets lumped into the, preamp zone.
Right.
What is your take on that?
I mean, I think if that's what you're going for, maybe there are better things. I guess I just never really use it for that because I first heard about it because I know either Albert Hammond Jr. or Nick Valenci from the Strokes use it at the end of their pedal chain as kind of an additional
boost, probably.
Yeah,
I mean, or
boost,
just in gain stage, because I think it's based on what we're looking at here. You can have gain of up to 26 decibels.
That's insane.
That's very loud.
That's like a jet engine.
Yeah, I've also used it almost as a volume knob for my board too.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because do you find that it colors your sound at all?
A little bit. It's hard to describe though what exactly it's doing,
Okay.
But
it just makes it louder.
Yeah, it's something that helps me. It gets me excited to kind of tool around with things. So that's sort of why it always. I mean, it's beige. I mean, it's not the most exciting pedal in the world.
No.
It's one knob and it's beige.
But you could make it exciting.
That's
you just
right.
need paint.
That's right.
Ah, paint.
Yeah. Why not?
Do it.
Yeah, I mean they're brand new. They're $99, so it's not like you're gonna get some kind of huge resale off of that.
Oh, half the paint on mine's gone anyway. So
perfect.
Because I use that dual lock for my pedal board. I don't mess around with Velcro.
Oh boy.
There you go.
Yeah, that stuff is for those of you not familiar with dual lock, that is like Velcro on steroids, and it is. It literally locks your stuff into place. I've gotten a few used pedals with that on the back, and I don't use dual lock on my board, but it is something that I've considered. But then I realize I mess with my pedals way too much for that to be practical. So
Yeah, less is more with that stuff too, and it can be tricky with something like a Boss pedal that doesn't have a flat bottom.
yeah,
It's hard to apply.
yeah, I understand. How about number 2?
Number 2 would be the full tone OCD.
Okay.
OCD.
It is probably just my favorite overdrive pedal because I first my setup at the time I got it was I had a 335 going through an AC15.
Oh wow.
And when I turned on the the OCD, it was like a freight train was coming through my apartment. And I was like, okay, this is for me.
That's cool.
So that's what I like
know
about
what
that.
version you have?
I'm whatever version I have, I like it a lot. That's the version I have, I think.
It has the circular arrows around the knobs, or no?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I believe that's version 2 on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
pretty
good one.
sure. the V1s didn't have the circular bits around the knobs, and that's why. Like, so if you see one of those and it's really cheap, nab it because those are actually really expensive. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that pedal is going to go down as like the Klon of our time.
interesting. Okay.
That's a bold statement, but I think it's I think it's a really quality pedal, and it's very unique.
Yeah. And just so you guys understand, when I'm saying they're expensive, comparatively, you can pick up anything past version 1, and you can usually get it for like 80 to 120 bucks, something like that, in like a lot of used shops or even on Reverb or something. And the version 1s are going from like depending on what series. So like a version 1, like series 3, anywhere from $200 to $350. It's kind of all over the place. And some of these, there's when it gets into the series, the different types of series, like there's V1 Series 7 or 1.3 Series 7. So I think there's some little wobbliness as far as like how old this actually is. But if you see one without the circular arrows, that is one of the earliest ones.
What if you get one with circular arrows and paint over the arrows?
I think you might be able to tell. Yeah. Yeah, especially if it's like black paint. Anyways, that's really cool. I played around with the OCD for a while, and I personally, I just couldn't get that to do the thing that I wanted it to do, and I ultimately traded it for actually something that I think was really cool. So, anyways, number three.
Well, I got to have a Boss pedal in there. So I'm going with a Boss TR2 tremolo.
Okay.
It is a very straightforward tremolo pedal. There's so much stuff out there right now, like so much cool stuff that can do so many different things. But this is just like a basic tremolo, but it does something that I really like, which is you can basically dime the depth, and then you can switch from square wave between square wave and what's the opposite of square wave?
Sine.
Yeah, sine wave. So you can I like to go all the way to the square shape, and then it sounds like a strobe light, but it's audio. I just love that effect. I think it's probably from if you remember the REM album Monster.
Yeah.
Peter Buck was doing a lot of really cool things with like
What's
tremolo.
Frequency Kenneth?
Yeah, and distortion. Like when I first heard that, like the tremolo is like leading the song.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just so cool. So I've always been trying to capture that in a way. And the TR2 is a tool that I always come back to try to do that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We have a song called Boundaries, the Valentinos do, and not direct inspiration from What's the Frequency Kenneth, but that same effect, the total like complete utter helicopter is like the ground foundation for our song in that, and it leads off with that, and I do love that Kenneth song. So maybe right. I wasn't inspired to a degree on that, but it's fun because nothing else sounds like it. It's just like it's a great sound, especially live. Like because you
can feel it. You can feel it.
It's great. Yeah. So I'm a fan of that. Number 4.
Number 4 would be the TC Electronic Flashback 2 delay pedal.
Okay.
It's a kind of all-purpose delay pedal. It's pretty affordable. I think it's like under $300. And and it just has maybe like a dozen or 10 presets, but I really like the 2250 delay it has on there, which I think is supposed to be modeled after like a famous rack mount delay unit that they made. But what I like about it is like just the cleanest delay, if that makes any sense, that I've ever heard. It's just like you play a thing and it repeats that thing.
Right.
And for me, I kind of use delay as kind of a creative tool to kind of hear additional things maybe that I wouldn't be hearing from just my playing. So I always liked that delay setting on the Flashback 2 because it was just so useful. So it was just right there at my fingertips.
TC had a run as sort of like the second version of themselves, as I understand it, where and they kind of all had that notched enclosure. Yeah. And man, the amount of stuff they jammed into each one of those effects was remarkable. Especially for the cost that you were paying. They were cheap and they are loaded with stuff.
Yeah, it has this mash button, they call it, which is kind of, you can hold it down and it will do different things depending on the setting. Like it might do a swell or something. So it like an expression pedal kind of built into it. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that pedal because it was one of those pedals that, like, I think everyone does that thing where like maybe they kind of take their board and then they make their kind of like their little board, they're just the essentials board, and like that Flashback 2 is always on any board I have.
There's a local builder. They've actually been on the show, Thimble Wasp. They do this really fantastic delay pedal called the Time Lapse. It's kind of like they took some of the effects of the TC that we were just talking about and the Line 6 DL4, and they took a mishmash of a bunch of these things, and like the amount of stuff that you're able to do in that delay is pretty remarkable. And also, that I'm suspecting, having not played the mash, but that mash will do like sort of, I guess, randomish kind of things depending on which setting you have it on. And it's really fun and unique and very creative. So if those of you are looking for something like really crazy and fun to play with, that is a great pedal, the Thimble Wasp.
Okay.
So check that out. And that was the time lapse delay. And also, they've got one of those cool. They got a clear plate in between the body and the metal plate, and the LED lights up, so the whole pedal, the bottom lights up. Is really cool. So, anyways, that was a fantastic 4 on the floor, Michio. Much obliged for all of that, and some lively discussion, I think.
Yes,
indeed. Now let's talk about you. All right. Now you are a confessed gear nut, and we've connected on many things. Actually, did you get the thing I sent you, by the way?
I did. The Stone Roses artifact that is going to be placed somewhere in my new home that I just moved into.
Awesome.
So that was a great moving in gift. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I mentioned that on the show a while back, and I said, look, the love got spread to me, no pun intended. That song is just unbelievable, by the way. Stone Roses, Love Spreads. If you have not heard that, people, go immerse yourself. Anyways, so I mentioned before, I got a couple artifacts from when that album came out, and I felt selfish having both of them, and I knew one other person who's as nutty about the early Brit rock as I am, and so anyways, cool. Glad that made it there before you moved.
Yes, thank you.
So, as I mentioned, you are a huge fan of that era of music and all kinds of stuff. It's not like you're just stuck there. And we've learned a lot about your guitar choices and other things as you've interacted with us along the way in social and responding to our episodes and everything. And so, first and foremost, we want to acknowledge your contribution to the show and thank you sincerely for supporting everything that we do here. It really, truly does make a difference. When we say that at the end of the shows, I can't stress that enough. We can't, this would be almost impossible to do without the help of our Patreon supporters. So thank you so much.
And thank you guys. I mean, this is you guys are helping form a community, which to me, I mean, that's the most important part of this. That's why I'm involved, because, it's the world operates differently, I think, now than it did maybe when I was growing up. And you guys make it easy to kind of be part of that community for, someone like me, who's not the most tech savvy or whatever. But I appreciate it. And I'm sure all the others do too that listen regularly.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We do appreciate that, especially Jared.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about some of the well, you started with your guitar that you just got. What's your like if you could snap your fingers and have any guitar? I know that's really wide open, but what was the first thing that came to mind?
Probably a Gibson ES355.
The Noel special.
That's the Noel Gallagher guitar. But it's not just because it's a Noel guitar. I'm a Gibson guy, so I'm focused on Gibsons, and that particular guitar is one of the few semi-hollows that have like a really thin neck profile. And that's the kind of neck I like. And so to have the kind of marry the two, the semi-hollow body with that thin neck, I mean, that's all I need.
And it has the Veritone knob on it, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't even know what that does. It looks kind of cool, but I'm sure I would figure out how to use it.
So, Tony, help us out with the Veritone knob, which is sort of a cool feature.
It's kind of a multi-position rotary switch that has a series of capacitors, and I think isn't there also one of those big induction coils?
The really old ones have those, yeah.
Inducer, and it's just there to provide different kind of preset tones, I guess, if you will.
Yeah,
and So,
but I gotta think it's one of the best quality guitars that Gibson ever made, because I feel like they put all of their kind of luxury appointments on this guitar. Like they didn't spare any. It's got like an ebony fretboard,
it's a higher model, yeah.
Triple binding, like all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and it's gold hardware.
Right.
And the vibrato on it. So we're looking at one on Reverb right now. It's a 71 ES355 TD. I don't know what the TD stands
Tony
for.
Dudzik.
Oh, perfect. And it has the now that is a stereo electric guitar.
Yeah, they did make some of them with a stereo output.
Wow.
But
that's $9,000. So.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing, a 335 is probably the in terms of an archtop double cutaway. That's probably, we'll call it the base model, even though it's still pretty high up in the food chain. But I mean, by the time you get to the 345 or the 355, both of those have bound guards instead of like a 5-ply pick guard.
Right.
Deluxe everything. They were the true upper echelon of the 300 series.
Yeah. It'd be really interesting if they released an Epiphone version of that, which would be very close to the Sheraton,
Yeah.
except with a Veritone knob in it.
Yeah.
I think there might be one.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Do I not know that? I guess I don't.
I don't
I
know.
don't
I don't know if
think
it has the Veritone in it, but I thought there was isn't there a Noel Gallagher?
There-
No,
you're asking the right guy, actually. This is the one area of guitars where I do have some knowledge. And I think the Noel Gallagher one was the Supernova,
more like a Riviera.
which is right, more like a Riviera, but it had the tailpiece with like the two different length.
Yep.
Those are P90s, right?
Well, it's actually a Sheraton. It's not a Riviera.
Oh.
But it had the
Okay.
trapeze and it had mini humbuckers.
Mini hump, yeah,
Oh,
mini
minis.
humbuckers.
Yes. And
there
it
you
was
go.
and it was a hardtail.
And it had diamond.
I mean, not a hardtail, but
and
it,
it had-
it didn't have a vibrato on it, obviously, because it's got a trapeze.
diamond F holes in it.
No.
And a 6-in-line headstock.
No. Anyways, wow. We just uncovered a whole bunch of good stuff on there. So you can clearly see the things that we care about.
Oh no, well there is
Yeah, right.
there is the Joe Bonamassa signature 355.
That is true. Let's see. And now that one, though, it doesn't have the Veritone knob on it. So it's basically not exactly what we're talking about. But it does have the bound guard and everything like that. So, anyways, yeah, a world of different things that you can get. You can also probably just go put one on your favorite. You could put one on your Sheraton or your
If you
355.
if you really wanted to.
35, I mean.
Those assemblies aren't cheap though,
I'm sure they're not.
especially if you get the one that has the
Yeah,
inductance coil.
my Jack Cassidy bass has that on it, and it's actually really cool. I like it a lot because just like a flip is like a completely different tone.
Huh.
It's really neat, and it just kind of like rounds out the bassiness. So it doesn't. It's not exactly like just a tone sweep kind of knob thing. There's
No, there are specific stops.
yeah, there's specific stops, but those stops have to do with what?
The rotary switch,
Yes, which is connected to the
leg bone.
yes. Anyways, all right, enough about this nonsense. We're clearly getting into water that we should not be treading in. Anyways, it's just one of the cool doodad features, man. So I echo your sentiment that we're starting to talk about 10 minutes ago, Michio. So
What were we talking about?
is the guitar that
Oh, the guitar, yes.
his dream guitar.
Nice.
Dream guitar.
Yes,
Well,
indeed.
there you go.
How did you actually stumble into guitar?
Yeah, so it coincidentally it involved Oasis. I was like 18 years old. I was like a freshman in college. It was the fall of 1995, and I heard some dude playing Wonderwall down the hall. And that song basically starts out with just the acoustic guitar, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I'm hearing it, I'm like, this dude is playing it exactly like the real song. I got to find out who this is and like learn how to do this. And basically he taught me like how to play guitar like Noel Gallagher it didn't take long, but I learned the basics and, G, C, D, E minor, A minor.
Cowboy chords. Pretty
Cowboy
much.
chords, right. And with Noel Gallagher, you learn those sus chords pretty quick.
You gotta have a capo.
And you got to have a capo, right. You learn pentatonic scale and boom, you got it. You
Yeah.
got Noel Gallagher. But that's how I started out, and I just dove into it real deep for, probably 10 years following that.
Yeah. There's a few bands that I can think of where I can tell you exactly, like I could put a Google Planet pinpoint on the exact square footage of the street that I was on when I first heard a specific thing that immediately hooked me, where I was like, I'm yours, you got me. One of them,
Yeah, it's real special.
It is.
When that happens.
It is. One of them was Cherub Rock from Smashing Pumpkins.
Nice.
And the other one is Morning Glory from Oasis. And it was really interesting because it was introduced. It wasn't at full play yet. It was introduced by Rodney Bingenheimer.
Oh, right, the famous DJ.
Yeah, in when I grew up in California, so that made sense where I was hearing it, and it completely blew me away, and I was just like, okay, I'm in, I am in. And
Yeah, I will say this in defense of Oasis. Like a lot of guitarists say, there's a lot of basic stuff going on there and whatever. But for me, that was my entryway
Yeah.
into learning, especially for someone who had no musical background. It was a very accessible way of like playing. So I'm not into it for his technical playing ability. If I want to see that, I'm gonna go see someone else. But that guy can definitely inspire me with his melodies.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. You hit the nail on the head. The accessibility is what kind of captivated a lot of people about that. Not only the guitar playing, but the just the lyrics and the songwriting. I mean, it was just one of those magic chemistries of things that happen. And it was just fun. I remember when you joined and supported, like you immediately were like echoing that, and I was like, yes, I've got a compadre out there. I like it.
Yeah, whatever inspires people to pick up an instrument, I'm all for it.
Yep, absolutely. So from there, how did things progress?
Well, so yeah, I heard this guy playing Wonderwall, and I said I have to get myself a guitar. So I went out and I got a Yamaha Pacifica. It was like a Telecaster knockoff looking thing, and Epiphone amp, solid state amp. But I didn't have any effects pedals, so I would just kind of play through this, this clean amp. And but anyway, it progressed to. I started learning to play more, and then I started writing songs and doing like open mics and stuff. Ended up, writing songs with a few different guys over the years and playing in like little kind of like duos and stuff. And so, I guess I think this is pretty common with guitarists, but like in my 30s, I think I was like so focused on career and stuff that, I just kind of thought maybe maybe that's something in my past, or it's not a mature thing to be doing with my time. But when the pandemic started, I was at home a lot, like a lot of other people, and I started listening to the podcast, the Guitar Knobs podcast, that is, and it sort of reignited my, love affair with the guitar just as an instrument and then music in general. And so since then, I think I made an album with a buddy of mine that we put together a couple years ago. And now I'm working on a kind of, I guess you'd call it like a solo thing. But I mean, what it is just me writing songs and recording them. And Todd, you said something once on an episode, which is, you said kind of like kudos to anyone who can write a song, record it, and put it out there. Because, I mean, it is the hardest thing in the world to do. It takes time, it takes focus, and you gotta be in a balanced enough state to let those songs come out of you. So, that's all I'm trying to do. I got a hobby that's kind of hard. You never get things exactly the way you want them, but that's what keeps you coming back.
Well said.
Yes, indeed.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm a pickup guy, and that's my living, man. Pickups. So do you prefer a certain brand of pickups, or are you happy usually with what comes into the guitar when you buy the guitar, or what's your deal with pickups?
Yeah, I would say that for the longest time, I just had whatever came in my Epiphone brand guitar because I went through a big Epiphone period.
Cool.
But yeah, I guess I will say the pickups matter when I'm buying a guitar because after that, I had a Strat for a while, and like I just single coil pickups are not for me.
Right.
But it took me owning the thing to figure that out. But I think that's what you got to do. You just got to tinker. You could do all the research in the world you want, but
So let me add though, if I always keep some Strats and Tellys around my arsenal because in some
There's no time to
recording,
be talking about pasta.
so in some, yeah, that wasn't funny. When I'm recording, you got to have like a really nice chugging along rhythm sound, and nothing better than the Strat for that kind of thing in some cases. And then for your main riff chords, like your power chords and your leads, man, nothing better than an Epiphone or a Gibson to power that out, because it's got that thicker, juicier sound coming out of the Gibson, but you have that really nice, bright, rhythm sound coming out of the Fender sounds too. So.
Yeah. No, but to answer your question, Jared, I am a pickup guy, and I will tell you the one pickup that like I haven't had this feeling since, but when I first played a casino with those P90s, that thing just barked in a way that I was like, this is cool. So I got to get a casino in my arsenal again for sure.
Now, do you think?
Very cool.
Do you like the? Those casinos have the big dog ear top mount metal covers. Do you find that different than popping in like a soap bar or something like that?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. I actually don't like the soap bar ones just because I don't like the way they look.
Huh.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll just be honest with you. I don't like something about the screw placement.
Well, the mounting screws always do look a little awkward.
Yeah. I like, like a covered humbucker or P9 dog ear P90. Something about those before I played guitar, I saw those kind of just shiny metal plates, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is something to that. I think, whenever you get kind of like triggered by something early on, you're like, you kind of fall into that. Whenever you see it, you're like, yeah. That thing.
That's like me with Rickenbackers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like, I still feel the same way every time I pull one out to play it or whatever. It's just, I love the way they look.
Yeah. You hate
That's
the
why
way
I
they
got
play,
this.
though. That's really ironic.
Yeah.
What's that?
Kidding.
No.
All right. Anyways, so now we've touched on the guitars and pickups. I think next in line.
Amplifiers.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting area in my guitar world right now because I am currently without an amplifier.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So let me just tell you though my background because I don't like to accumulate too much gear. So I move a lot of stuff in and out like on a regular basis. So I try to have just like one electric, one acoustic, and like a dozen effects. And I'll just change out a lot. So for right now, I just happen to be in between amps. I sold I had a Roland JC22 jazz chorus, which, basically that's too small of an amp to do anything with. So that didn't work out. But in the meantime, what I've been doing, and I don't know if other people do this, I'd be interested to find out, but I've been just messing around with plugins to try different amp styles that maybe I, wouldn't have access to otherwise.
On the computer.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, our recent guest, Black Star, just released the entire, basically their St. James line in a plugin, and it's I would definitely check that one out if you're interested in digging into not only different effects and stuff, but like a full amp setup.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I was trying out this like 59, this Fender like 59 Tweed Deluxe or something, and when else are you gonna play that amp? And I was like shocked. It's a plug-in, right, at the end of the day. But I was shocked. I was like, so that's what it's all about. So I think plugins are good for that. I think they give people access to stuff maybe they wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah, and not everybody can do an amp situation in their abode.
Oh yeah, I'm representing all the apartment guitarists out there, and I know you're out there because it is challenging for us. It is challenging.
Yeah, for sure. But fortunately, it seems as though, and we've talked about this several times on the show, that, and you just brought up the plugins part, but even aside from plugins, new hardware that is aimed squarely at sort of a cross section of people, which is like sort of like metro giggers and apartment dwellers, which are often the same people.
Right.
This sort of like literally the amp in a small box thing. I mean, there's a huge array of actual hardware to be able to do that with, which we've talked about ad nauseum, and I'm sure most of you are aware of many of those things, but they keep getting better and better and better. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they keep getting more crazy and more crazy and more crazy. If anything, they've actually gotten away from that a little bit and become simplified so that you don't have to forego your pedal, lust and everything, so you can have all your pedals and your cake too. And your headphones, and nobody else has to hear it. Have you explored any of those things, like either the HX Stump or the amped line from Black Star or the Milkman or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. When I had the jazz chorus, because I just wanted a clean bass line kind of sound, I paired it with the HX Stomp, because I was like, this is during my Strat era. I was like, this should be a pretty good kind of way to get to know the HX Stomp. And it's a different experience. I mean, it's a different thing. Everything, I guess, is different, and that's why you try it. In the end, I found it wasn't for me, because I need to be messing around with a variety of different pedals, just to keep my interest.
Sure.
So
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And to your point, if you need something that's an all-in-one, the HX Stump is great for that. And there's a load of other pedals that you can, or platforms that kind of fit that multi-everything at your fingertips thing. But then, we're seeing a lot more of the, for lack of better terms, like pedal platform amps.
Right.
There's quite a few really great options for that, in case you too are an apartment dweller out there who are listening, and or a metro gigger, meaning you basically got to put everything on your back and get on, like the subway or the bus or something. So, moving forward, what are some of the things that, as a listener of the show and who is being exposed to all kinds of different builders and everything, in I guess maybe more recent time, what are some things that have tickled your fancy that you maybe want to either learn more about or acquire?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, so over the years, I've watched the show kind of grow and develop into something much more than what it started as, and what I'm seeing more of, what I really like, are these kind of just like deep dives, I guess, for lack of a better term, into specific areas of gear or guitars. So, like, I really liked the Rickenbacker episode, because everyone, those are all the questions everyone had but never asked. Like, every those are guitar, like everyone is like, what's going on with those? So I appreciated that. And then getting into the amps too has been really helpful because sometimes amps can be like a second thought, I think, with, you're so focused on your guitar and stuff. And, ultimately that amp is what's pushing out the sound.
It seems as though from the different guests that we've had on the show, and Tony's nodding at me emphatically because he knows where I'm going to go with this, is people seem to be either sort of guitar biased or amp biased as far as who's the lead horse in their equipment.
Yes.
That's a good observation.
Yeah, I think that's true because I mean, there are some people who would argue, well, if I have the right guitar, I can get the same sound out of any amplifier. Well, I don't think that's true. I think I think you have to find the combination of the two. Mm-hmm. And I think as Hex Meadows, when he was on, and the thing that stuck with me was, he finally heard the sound that he had in his head when he heard that guy playing a Vox AC30.
Yeah.
He said, that's one of those aha moments.
Yeah.
And to me, I kind of feel the same way because, I grew up, in the 80s, and, we just used whatever we could get. And I had, a couple of Fenders. I had some other stuff that I would pick up through there was a local music store up in Youngstown, and there was actually some pretty cool stuff that I wish I would have kept, but, I can't gripe too much about that. But now I think is the opportunity, and I think as Michio said, by having these digital formats, you can actually try more things out. And I think if you have a guitar that has the sound that you like, and then you take that to the next level by pushing it through an amplifier or effects pedals or whatever, it's got to be the combination. But I guess I'm the center line guy. That you have to
have both.
You have to have both.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't even suggesting that the magic comes from one side or the other. I'm just suggesting that I think we found that most people, like Rob, is an amp guy.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because he's extremely particular about the guitars he plays.
That's true.
Right? Chris, who we just had on, clearly an amp guy.
Right.
And by the way, he's going to be back. We're going to have him back on. He was the gentleman that joined us on the Marshall show, and we had a great time with him. And he's local, and we want to hang out with him. So, but aside from that, Jared, well, how would you rank yourself? Are you a guitar guy or an amp guy? And it doesn't mean you can only be one or the other, but like, which horse edge is out for you?
Definitely
Can't hear you, Peach.
The guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely the guitar. That's how it all started for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and Jared's got like 27 amps. So,
yeah.
And they're all different. So,
26 now.
Okay.
Do you have any?
Not nearly that many.
Yeah.
Do you have any like high gain, like real like heavy metal amps?
I've never. I think the closest thing I had to that was it was like around the last run of the 5150s in the early 2000s. And I bought it because I didn't know what I was buying, and I thought it was cool to have because it just said it was Eddie Van Halen 5150 made by Peavey. And I wish I would have kept it because that was the last run of those. And I sold it like a dummy and wish I would have kept it. And it's not usable in my house in front of my, just playing at the house. It's just way too loud.
You're playing in your front yard? That's the problem.
As opposed to your Marshalls.
Yeah, well, any of them. I mean, you have to top box those things to really get the full, to get the whole Monty, what do you call it? The full Monty out of the head itself.
Yeah,
that's my dream as an apartment guy, to plug into like a 5150, and because I've always wanted to play loud enough that I couldn't hear the strings in the pick.
I had the 212 combo, and it was heavier than heavy. It was not as heavy as the Twin Reverb I sold to Zach, just because I didn't want to carry it up the garage steps or the basement steps.
Well, how is he supposed to handle that thing?
He had a moving company move.
Yeah.
So neither of us had to carry it up the stairs. That's the one I bought from Eastside Music. When we were in NAMM.
Yeah.
Great sounding amp. And I'm glad Zach has it. But
it is.
But yeah, the 5150 was probably the most heavy metal amp I ever owned. And it sounded fantastic. I probably have an old recording somewhere where I used it. But we had to put it in a whole another room in the recording studio and shut the door.
Yeah, I imagine.
It was crazy.
Now, if I may answer that same question.
Todd?
Yes, Todd.
Yes.
Why don't you answer that same question?
Well, I was just about to. I had in my early years of trying to figure out exactly what I was doing, which I just continued to not know what I was doing. I've told a story about when I had my the PV Special 130, I believe, and was using a Chandler tube driver.
Why not?
On top of that. No, it was a rack mount.
Well, of course.
Sitting on top of it. It
course it
wobbled
was.
around. It was ridiculous. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. And so naturally from there, I said, you know what I need is this thing that I saw that's really cheap that I can go get. And it was an 80s Randall head, I believe, the RG80, I believe. And then I got, because I thought, well, clearly I have to have this kind of thing.
But that was a solid state head, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Then I had a B style cabinet, flat face, which I actually got from Agent Orange.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's,
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. I guess.
And it was already broken in.
It was already broken in, and I put this Randall head on it and had no idea how to EQ it or use it or anything. And it just, I can't imagine having to have had listened to me because we were starting to gig out at that point in time, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, I have a hard time listening to you now.
I walked right into that one. Yeah, and what's funny? So I'll share this really quick. So we used to practice in this studio, and it was like a lockout kind of thing. Okay, and there is in Orange County, and right next to us was Real Big Fish, before they got real semi-big. And it was also the guy who was managing the studio was the punk skater legend Dwayne Peters. So everything was really loud in there. And by the way, I can't even tell you how frustrating it is when you're trying to write songs and learn your stuff, and all you're hearing next to you is, this insane ska horn stuff. Oh, it drives us up to way. Anyways, we had like a little hey, we're going to debut a couple of our new songs and, pull people in there. And people were literally on the floor in front of our equipment, namely mine. Mm-hmm. And on that Randall, there was a channel switcher, and you could have like one or two or both channels. Nice. It was like a clean channel and an overdrive. Mm-hmm. In my fever pitch of playing, I stepped on the both, and my girlfriend at the time was right in front of my amp, and clearly I hadn't thought about what happens if I hit both. And the clean was just way loud. And it was already this huge dirty signal. And I remember hitting that and looking at the people in front, just like recoiling in horror at the sound that was hitting them in the face. And I'm trying to undo it. And it was a mess. I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, well.
Yes.
We all had days like
those. Live and learn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. Well, Michio, I'm gonna, as we do with the Poohbahs, I would like to give you the floor right now, just to say, as we're rounding third and heading home, the floor is yours to say whatever you want to, for, and about the guitar community that we all love and cherish.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks. I would just want to say that, I know that people get in kind of different rhythms with their relationship with their instrument and stuff. And I'm no different. There are days occasionally when I'm like, I don't want to mess around with that guitar today. I got too many things going on. But, I just wanted to share that since I started making like guitar like a priority in my life, I would say it's like improved the quality of my life.
Nice.
Yeah. And for me, it's about doing it every day, no matter what. And look, I'm no like technical guitarist at all. I mean, I like to hack around with my cowboy chords and, strap my capo on if there's a non-cowboy chord involved and just convert it to cowboy chords. That's sort of my style. But yeah, I think I just hang in there, keep doing it. I mean, you get better if you do it every day. And, being a creative person isn't easy sometimes because you've got something to get out and sometimes you just don't have a way of getting it out. But,
Go let it out.
You go let it out. There's a great Oasis reference. So yeah, it's just a wonderful kind of instrument to be involved with because it's like a lifetime journey that you have with it. Like I learn new things about me as a guitarist every day. But I would say, along with kind of just sticking with it, the other thing is, you really got to be true to yourself and believe in your playing, as a means of expression. Because that's the only way you're going to kind of communicate whatever message you're trying to communicate to other people. So, while I don't like, I tend to shy away from things that involve like technical music things because I don't really know. I don't know my notes, if you will. You can still kind of figure things out on your own, but if you trust kind of your own playing, your instinct will sort of lead you where you need to go with it, I think. I mean, that's my assessment after, 30 some odd years with the thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. And I love what you said about the playing every day. You don't have to be awesome every day. But
exactly.
And as someone who is constantly trying to come up with new songs and stuff, it is who I'm trying to remember. I just heard this quote recently, and it wasn't some like earth shattering thing, but I was like, oh yeah, duh. It's like if you don't try. Oh, you know who was? It was Seth Rogen, and he was talking about becoming an actor, and he's like, if you don't try, you for sure never will.
Exactly.
And if you do try, you for sure might. It was to that, it's like something will happen if you do it. If you don't, for sure nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, isn't there some comfort in having a sure thing?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what that means. Where are you going with that?
I'm just being contradictory.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes,
it's true. It's true. I got started, and like everyone else, I wanted to be like a rock and roll star. Now I've never sold an album that hasn't been on Bandcamp, but I've still had my rock and roll star moments along kind of my guitar journey. So. Your dreams and stuff, they are very attainable. You just got to do the thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be someone else's. Just make your own and chase after that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tony, you know what time it is?
El Camino time.
I think so. Let's gas up the El Camino since we've got Jared on board.
I like it. All right. We are going to head down to Jared's, pick him up, throw a bunch of old cans on his deck when he's
Why
not
not?
looking.
Oil cans?
No, beer cans.
Oh, old cans.
Yeah.
I thought you said oil
I'll
cans.
just blow them away into the neighbor's yard with the air blower thing.
Nice. I love the air blower thing.
All right, Jared, what time is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to that time of the show, along with our good buddy Michio.
Did you just have a turkey dinner? What's going on over there?
Yeah, I screwed up your name. I'm sorry.
Mario. Hey, Mario.
Mario Murakishi. All right, let me start that over.
Mario Murakishi. Yes, he's the
Murakishi
Italian
Express.
Turkish.
Yes.
I was reading something else while trying to say that. So
Yes.
I can't read and say,
Obviously.
read something else and say the other thing.
Yeah, which is odd because that's usually what you ended up doing. But anyway,
Well, I was reading something else and saying something the opposite. Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to that time to the show where we drive the OL Camino up to my house. We play a little game of Would You Rather? So you're walking down the street. And, you see this big gold lamp and you rub it and the genie comes out.
I love the genius.
Yes. The old genie comes out and he says,
oh, you
listen,
again.
I got, yeah,
Stop rubbing my
I got two choices for you. And he sees you wearing an Oasis t-shirt. So he's like, hey, you could either, number one, you could play the triangle during a Noel Gallagher concert
Or the scissors.
and be Noel's pal for the night. Or you could have a custom shop Murphy aged 1960 ES 335 and not meet Noel at all, and you won't be his pal. You'll just be known as just another person on the street to him.
Wow.
Be his pal and play the triangle, or you get to have a Murphy H Gibson Custom Shop Murphy H 1960 ES 355 Noel Gallagher signature model.
Nice.
And that's red and aged,
Is it
and it's
signed?
got gold aged
Yes, they are
gold
signed.
hardware and the switch and the thing and the other stuff, and it looks super awesome.
Victoria's
bound
Secret
pick
case. Yeah.
I think they go for $16K.
Oh man.
So get a big collector's guitar that's super valuable and it's awesome, or be Noel Gallagher's pal and play the triangle in his band.
Now that is interesting. That is interesting. Very, very
I
interesting.
think the genie's getting angry at us.
Yeah, he's
'Cause
messing with our brains.
Yes.
Man.
Well, can I ask you a question, Jared?
Yeah.
So, do you only have one triangle, or do you have like a set of triangles that you can play, and do you get to play the whole night?
One single triangle
And you got to
for
play
one song.
only one song?
One song.
That's it.
No.
No.
But you get to be his pal.
Really?
I guess you can sneak in a few dings and dangs and dingles
Sure. Let's say
on
that.
some other songs. Yeah. So he'll let you play it for a few songs. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're his pal.
All right. Okay. That's a very good one, Jared.
Yes.
Let's see. Tanya,
Yes.
what are you doing?
A lot of people don't know this, but I have very good triangle pedigree. I can play a triangle like nobody's business.
Okay.
I'm really, really good at it.
Do you do the dinner call?
Come and get it. I just think for the heck of it, and because I'd like to chum up with Noel a little bit. We can talk about his evil brother.
No.
Yes, we could.
No.
His evil
no,
brother.
No.
Yes.
No.
He's a bad man.
No.
He's a very bad man.
He's a
Todd's not
rock
going to let you
god.
say that on here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate, but
Well, he
I think it might be the other
know.
way around.
He broke Noel's
Yeah.
guitar.
Anyways.
His
Well,
original
maybe
355.
maybe my answer might shed some light on.
Yes.
Okay.
go
Well,
ahead.
I'm doing the triangle because I think it would be kind of fun.
You want to be his pal.
Okay.
And I think there is no more sexy instrument than a triangle.
Okay.
Okay.
Well said.
All right. Let's see. Jared.
Guitar.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Take your
Noel's-
time.
Noel's gonna the reason being, I think Noel's gonna, even though he'll be my pal for that night, the next night he won't remember who I am.
Possibly.
You know?
He say, "Oh, you're the guy with the triangle."
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy didn't play the triangle the way I wanted him to, so I'm glad he's gone.
It's possible.
You know?
It's kind of hard to
So-
sign a triangle too.
So I'd rather just not have him take a chance of him being disappointed in my triangle skills, and I'll just take the guitar and reminisce and fantasize about how him and I could have been pals.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Michio.
Well, it would be real cool to be on stage with Noel Gallagher, and I could probably figure out how to play the triangle, but I'm gonna go with the guitar because, I'm a Liam guy, so this is Team
Okay.
Liam over here.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
And as long as the feud is still active, I got to pick a side. So
Yeah. That's fair.
Is it just because he sings with his hands behind his back all the time?
No.
no.
I'm going to answer that for him. No, I'm defending. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. And some people don't get it, and some people do.
Yeah.
Most people do, though. That's why the crowds at every single show are just like gargantuan.
At Noel's show, you mean?
No.
They're a little
not.
smaller.
They're a lot smaller. Way
Yeah.
small. Like much
Liam
smaller.
Liam played Nebworth like a
Yeah.
couple summers ago.
Yeah, and he does all the big stuff. Anyways,
That was then.
no, this year, like every single year since he left, he's like anyways, that's not, what are you doing? This is not the thing. Okay, so you're going to go with the guitar, Michio.
Yep,
The Oasis
I'm going with the
podcast.
guitar.
All right.
Todd.
What about you, old chum?
Well,
What do you be his pal?
Triangle. That is so tempting. However, I too, as much as I really, really am a fan of the whole shebang of Oasis and Noel, and have seen him several times, I'm a little bit more in the Liam camp. Gotta admit. As far as as far as a hang,
Losers.
I just don't want. I wouldn't want to ruin it like by me being like, oh, and he's like, he's so quick witted and he's got a razor tongue, and I'm just like, I just would end up feeling like, what happened? I blew it. Blah 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 blah.
But you would have a triangle.
I would, but in this case, I would have. Yeah. Oh man, that's really tough. No, actually, you know what? I will take the stage. I'm gonna forego the guitar. I'm gonna forego the guitar, and I'm gonna because I would be up there for at least like maybe Rock and Roll Star or something like that.
Okay.
Because that's my favorite one.
You'll be front and center too when you play it.
I like
Right.
that. I like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, that's a really good one. That's a hard one for a
Yeah, I
fan.
like
That's a
that
really hard one for a
question.
fan. Well done, Jared.
Thank you.
And all right. Well, we need to say some thanks to some very special people.
Yeah, special thanks to Liam Gallagher. No, there's point of the show. There's a special group of people we love to thank. Todd, these are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become an executive producer? It's very easy. You go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron, a hero of this organization
That's
that
right.
we like to call the Guitar Knobs.
That's right.
Now, each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts.
Very nice things.
This, and you know, I said earlier, I love getting cool stuff in the mail.
Yeah.
Trust me, you sign up, you're going to get some cool stuff in the mail.
And
That's right.
we give away as much stuff as we possibly can.
We give away
When-
more than
Price is right.
the price is right.
I would love to give more stuff away. And by the way, if you're a builder and you want to get stuff in people's hands, we would be happy to make that happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Even, you know, stickers and pics and all the good stuff
Yeah.
like that. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared, what would that be, please?
Get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers.
Do it.
Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Rolf Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg, and Christopher Logan.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yes.
But wait,
What? Wait, there's another group of executive producers. We like to call them our Grand Poohbahs. These are the top of the heap, the cream of the crop.
King of the Hill.
And they have a fez, if it's not being in a box, being moved to a no location, to wear upon their head whilst listening to the podcast.
And at the same time.
That is correct. So special thanks. Special thanks. That's 3 specials to these Grand Poohbahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wan Pickups,
that's right.
Hex Matos, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, Matt Hart, Enrico Fernando. And am I forgetting someone?
No, I think that's pretty. Oh, wait.
Michio Murakishi.
That's me.
That's you, Michio Murakishi.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's what I say when I hear it when I'm listening and I'm not on the show. I go, "That's me."
You'll listen to it again and say that at the same time. While
Oh,
you
that'll
say-
be weird.
It'd be in
Yeah.
stereo.
Yeah.
That's right.
Michio, we want to thank you and all of the other supporters of the show for the support. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, it is so helpful to us and, dare I say, critical.
Critical.
So if you are someone who has been enjoying the show and you are thinking about becoming an executive producer or a Grand Poohbah, just please do that. That would be really great. We would love it. Thank you.
Pull the lever.
All righty. Michio, where can people connect with you in the guitar world online?
I am on Instagram, and my handle is @mmurakishi. That's MMURAKISHI. You might also find some hiking videos on there because when I'm not playing guitar, I love to hike.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Tanya.
Go over to pickguardian.com, check out some of the things that I have available for sale, but by and large what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need, what color you want.
You know, can I rephrase how you just said that?
Sure.
If you're looking for something special, if you want to make the guitar that you have even more yours, a pickguard is a great way to do that. And you can do that through the Pick Guardian.
And it makes a wonderful Christmas gift.
It does. Jared?
You can get a hold of me on Instagram, jared.allen.brandon. Throw me a line. Ask me a question about pickups or Gibsons or guitars or whatever you want.
Sausages.
Yes. That would be smoked shotgun shells on the smoker.
Oh, those are
Let's exchange smoking recipes for smoking stuff.
nice.
Okay.
Right.
All right. You can shoot me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram, and I will send whatever you want to Tony and or Jared as well.
Hey, how about if we have
Instagram.
them?
Hang on, the handle
Hey,
at
hey.
Guitar Knobs. Now speak.
How about we have these folks send in some would you rathers?
I would love that. Would you rathers are fantastic.
Yes.
And anything that you feel like commenting on. We get great messages from people. I love to get those.
Yes.
So please don't be afraid. Just connect. You know, that's what it's all about anyways.
We're a friendly bunch.
Murakishi said earlier on. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been fantastic. Michio, thank you so much for coming on the show, bud.
Oh, so much fun, guys. Thank you.
You are welcome. And we wish everyone a fantastic Guitar Week. Go listen to the Valentinos. New stuff dropping. A couple more singles coming out. And subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad so glad you're prepared.
I'm the most prepared.
This is Michio Murakishi.
Todd wouldn't even tell me.
No. I told you, Tony. Okay, let's see. The winner of this quiz gets a punch in the nose. Count to 10. Let me refresh, and you guys come back in, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, bye. Jared just went like 10. Count to 10. 10.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right.
Matching voices.
Yes, and what Jared will do is he'll sit back, way back in his chair, and then when he wants to say something, he comes right up to it and he says like this.
Yeah.
See, could you hear the chair creak?
Are you?
Back
Yeah.
in my chair and then coming up and saying stuff.
Yeah.
Sitting back in my chair.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
That's kind of like got a modulation effect.
Yeah.
Kind of going on.
He was modulated as a young child.
On his head.
Well,
Yes.
that's unfortunate.
Right. Just switch it. So let's talk about
basically
it. Hang on. Let me hang on.
How about you, Tadisha?
Well, that doesn't sound good. Okay. So
Let me say this.
get a little bit of this. No, that's not it. That isn't it.
Let me get a little bit of this.
Yeah, but that was good. I mean, that had the spirit in it. That was good.
It did.
He sounded kind of constipated.
He had the wrong script.
I think he was constipated.
Can't you just use it?
No.
Do it right or go home.
Let me get a little. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love circus peanuts.
I do too. We're a minority.
Everybody hates them.
I know, except us. I
More
do
for-
love
more
circus
for-
peanuts.
I mean, they're just so
but I
sickening
hate
sweet.
I hate Peeps.
Oh, Peeps are
Peeps are gross.
That is the
Love or
garbage of
hate.
candy.
That's like your favorite thing to send.
Yeah. It was really dumb and I liked it and it was funny, so I sent it to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the best reason.
Yeah.
Easy for you to
I
say.
know.
Right.
So
Hey, caveman!
That's-
Caveman!
it is shocking.
Tony.
I didn't realize that I stuttered so much until I started doing this show. Like, it was crazy. I still we'll listen. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like my mouth is like a pair of Fred Flintstone feet.
Hey, now.
People-
Easy. Little.
Excuse me.
If a car ran on sugar, then
So, would you like to talk about your mother?
Oh dear, that was a slip. Oh my goodness. These circus peanuts.
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 You know what I love?
candy corn is good after all the Snickers are gone. You know.
You want these for the prize box?
Oh yeah. Thank you.
What is it?
Nothing for you, man.
Oh,
Is it candy corn? Okay, here we go. See, Michio, see how this is all baked?
I love
Yes,
it.
this is how the sausage is made.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.